John Fredericks, America's Godzilla of Truth. He's popular and proficient in picking politics with prophetic precision. And now J. Fred's picking sports. Are y'all ready for this? All across the airwaves and streams of the John Fredericks Media Network, John, Jack, and Nate, three guys that are pretty wise when it comes to picking winners. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, golf, UFC battles, you name it. When the game is on your mind and money's on the line, Godzilla Wins is your guide to picking winners. Before you make that play, hear what J. Fred has to say. Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Oh yeah, for entertainment purposes only.
Welcome to the Godzilla Wins Saturday Pick Show. We are going to be doing a big post-mortem of the conference championship games. We're going to be talking about that for probably the first half hour of this show. We're going to be doing a little Super Bowl preview, and then we're just going to be talking, just shooting the breeze for the next, for the second hour, just talking about what makes these teams tick that are headed to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs and the Eagles, a repeat of last year's matchup that I don't think anybody really asked for, but it's what we're all going to get. So that's sort of where the show is headed. It's going to be kind of a funky show, but we are going to be giving you an exhaustive breakdown of all of these teams and sprinkling in maybe some early picks we're making before the Super Bowl next week. So before we get into all of that, though, I'd like to remind everyone that the show is brought to you by Native Path Collagen. Big collagen family around here. Mitch is using collagen. I'm using collagen. John is using collagen. Jack's using collagen. Jay Delsing is sometimes with us. He's on collagen. And the CEO of the company, collagen. Everybody's using it. And there's no secret why. It's because it's great for supporting healthy skin, healthy nails, hair, joint health. It's helped John on his weight loss journey. It's helped all of us just look a little bit more youthful. We're hoping that the hair starts to grow back. It's been really great. So put it in your coffee, put it in your juice, throw it in some water, milk, whatever you want to do to get it in. As you get a little bit older, sometimes your body just doesn't get enough collagen to be able to meet its needs. So this little supplement can help. So get on the collagen journey. Go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla to get started on your collagen journey. That's getnativepath.com/Godzilla. That gets you up to 45% off. You can get started on your collagen journey for about $1 a day. Well worth it. All right, we're going to be giving out some picks too, so it's time for the gambling disclaimer. Any picks we give out are for entertainment purposes only, and we urge you to gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-GAMBLER if you have a gambling problem. If you live in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming, call 1-800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelpline-ma.org. If you're in Massachusetts, call 877-GHOPE-NY or just text HOPE-NY in New York. 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 in Kansas or New Hampshire, 888-789-7777, or go to ccpg.org in Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, or visit opgr.org if you are in Oregon. All right, welcome to the show. We got a big show. John Fredericks, Jack Fredericks, Mitch Rogers, and Peter Kriebel with the background banner too. Nice.
Yeah, you guys got all your banners up. I'm so happy.
Oh yeah, it's really great. Where do you get these from? Where do I get it at Dollar General? Where do I go?
I'll send you mine. Just
all right.
No,
I lost mine.
Yeah, what do you mean you lost it? It was like $500. When did you lost it? Well, like in your move? Would you leave it on the U-Haul truck?
Find it in the Phoenix area.
I like last week you featured a Dylan book behind you. I saw that. I like it when you have. I like it when you have. There we go.
Yeah, what do you got? What
I like the bookshelf.
Got there?
Yeah.
Let's see. Karl
I just have a rad poster.
Mm-hmm.
The best movie from the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Das Kapital.
No, that stays in a different part of the house.
The communist half.
Well, no, it got no. There's the whole house is communist. There's no split in that.
You would have a bestseller book. Here's what it would be. I've got it for you. I'm going to make you millions of dollars. How a Marxist communist became an entrepreneur and started a number of businesses and made a ton of money. That would be like your life story bestseller.
Yeah,
we'd have to make a ton of money first.
Yeah,
you're still an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Anyone can register an LLC with the Secretary of State. It doesn't exactly mean you're an entrepreneur. Let's start the show.
All right, let's start the show. Let's talk a little football. We have some games to react to. I guess the first thing that we kind of have to, the first game that we'll react to is the Eagles absolutely put on a show against the Commanders. Scored 55 points, beat them fairly easily. I mean, anytime that Saquon runs for 3 touchdowns and Jalen Hurts runs for 3 touchdowns, you're probably in trouble if you're the opposing team, and that's exactly what happened. So we knew that Washington was probably going to have some problems stopping. We kind of thought that would be a problem. We were worried about Washington's defense a little bit on the show. The people that were being reasonable were a little concerned anyways about Washington's chances. And, it seems those were concerns were well sort of founded and warranted. So I guess I want to talk about, what went wrong for Washington, how good is Philly, and what do we expect from Jaden Daniels sort of next season and, as his young career sort of gets going. So all of those things are on the table. What do you guys think?
I think you can't have 4 turnovers. First and foremost, to beat that Eagles team, you had to play a perfect game. I think for the people that like to bet with their heart last week, your heart was broken because you probably went 0 for 2 on those. So, but I think the Commanders have a good future. I think they were exploited for the things that we knew about going into that game. AJ Brown summed it up yesterday. He was talking and he said, the fact that they have Jaden Daniels, they are set up in a great spot. He said they need a wide receiver to get across from Terry, need a linebacker, and need some defensive line help. And I think he nailed it right on the head, and he said this team will be around for a long time. I think if you're the Commanders, you hold your head up high. I think they could have looked like they belonged if the turnovers don't happen. It wasn't that big of a mismatch as the score says, but the Eagles are the real story. I mean, going from what 2 years ago to dominating to last year to everybody wanted to break the team apart to them to be back in the Super Bowl again in dominating fashion over a team that was no fluke, and they just drubbed them and dominated them. So the real story is the Eagles here, and they're going to be a tough out to beat, in the Super Bowl. But the future is high for Jaden Daniels, and they just need to make a couple of tweaks, and they have the cap room to do it. So I think they will.
So Washington turned the ball over 4 times. And you can't win in Philadelphia with that going on. You also just can't discount the fact that they moved the football on every drive. What did they punt once? They had 4 turnovers. The first drive, they got all the way down to the 12 or 15. They had a 3rd and 2, a 4th and 2. They had gone for 4th down 3 times. He was obviously, Dan Quinn went there to win that football game. I thought it was a horrible call that he went for the field goal because it looked like it fizzled. They couldn't stop Daniels. They were not going to stop him. He was going to get their first down. They were going to go in for a touchdown. That's number 1. They come out in the second half after all the clown show antics that went on with their turnovers. They come out in the second half. If Philadelphia goes down and gets a touchdown, they go up big. Game's virtually over. They get a 3 and out. They get the ball back. They have a chance to cut that thing down to a 1-score game. When they got the ball back, they went 3 and out. Then the turnover started. When they cut it to 9 and they were driving, there was no way that I was going to win that bet. In fact, I texted you guys and said, this is a dead ring loser. They're going to score, cut the thing to what? Go from 9-2. I think I laid 6. Like there's no way I'm going to win this game. At that point, before that turnover, when they were driving, then down by 9, I thought they had a shot to win that game. So all this Eagles hype, yay, Eagles, they're so great. They scored 50, yay, Eagles, rah, rah. Look, I bet them, but there were 2 times in that game where I didn't think I had a chance in heck to cover that thing. And so this is their offense. You take those, 3 of those turnovers away, they cover. So, now their defense is horrible. We know that. First play, Barkley runs for 80 yards or something, or 75 yards. So we all get that. But this was not, the score to me was not indicative of that game. And so I'm not on the Eagles bandwagon here like everybody else is. I was lucky, I thought, to win that bet.
Yeah. So I think the story, you could talk about the story in a couple ways. The first thing is, I think, Saquon Barkley. I mean, we all know about the turnovers, 3 of them fumbles, which is like really frustrating. I mean, it's one thing to throw a bunch of picks because the defense is confusing you and you got a rookie quarterback and a good secondary, but to just be fumbling like that is crazy. So, that hurt them obviously, but Saquon Barkley averaged almost 8 yards a carry. Now I know the 80-yard run, of course, pulls that a little bit, further past what the actual mean would be had he not had that 80-yard run. But still, 8 yards or 7.9 yards a carry is like just incredible. We knew that was going to be the problem for Washington. We knew that the run game was going to be suspect. We knew the defense was going to be suspect. Dad's talking about, if they didn't have 4 turnovers, they wouldn't have covered. They probably still would have won the game, though. I mean, even with 1 turnover, like in the fourth quarter, or 0, I think the Eagles probably still win the game. But the Commanders looked really good, and at times the offense did move the ball. They have a great offense, and it's a great story for Jaden Daniels. I don't think this is like Mark Sanchez or some of these other quarterbacks who make it to the AFC Championship early on in their career. I know Ben Roethlisberger did it, so that's not a great example, but I don't think this is like a one-off where all of a sudden Jaden Daniels then struggles, maybe like RG3, to talk about another Commanders quarterback. Of course, the injury hurt him, but I'm not sure that would be the correct sort of prediction for his career. I think he's going to be really good going forward. And I think all the Commanders need is a few different pieces in place, a better defense, a good draft, etc. If you're in Washington, you have to be really excited about the trajectory of this team, where you think it's going to be in the future in a division that, other than the Eagles, the Cowboys are kind of a mess. I don't think any of us really are Brian Schottenheimer believers. And the Giants are going to be the Giants for a long time. So, there's room in that division to win games and challenge the Eagles for a divisional title. And I think that they're going to do that in the future. I like Dan Quinn. Yeah, I don't think Atlanta should have ever fired him after a couple bad seasons. After he took them to the Super Bowl and they blew that huge lead. I think Dallas should have elevated him when he was their defensive coordinator. He's a good head coach. He can win games, but in this league, if you don't have a quarterback, you can't get anywhere in the postseason. And I think the Commanders do have a good quarterback. So I think in the future they'll be just as competitive as some of these other perennial sort of NFC playoff contenders.
Peter, what were you thinking here?
Yeah, for me, the hindsight bias kicked in pretty hard, because had you asked me at the start of the playoffs or before, what would an NFC championship game in Philadelphia between the Commanders and Eagles look like? I don't know that I would have said 55 points, but I feel like it would have been, a decided victory for the Eagles. But I and everyone else got swept up in what the Commanders did in Detroit against a depleted Lions defense with no pass rush, and thought, they're going to be able to hold up against Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat and every other crazy defensive lineman for the Eagles. So definitely a little bit annoyed with myself that I didn't just think about, like, what is this really going to look like when they take the field? But it's not a lost season or anything. For Daniels, it's probably the greatest rookie season of all time for a quarterback. And if you're Washington, you so grossly overperformed this season that you really can't walk away from the game with. It's got to be about as good as you can feel about a championship game division loss to your rival.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there are clear deficiencies on that team. And, I also don't think you have to look at it and say, okay, we're miles away from Philadelphia, because you did play them close in week 16. This was a sloppy game. You're not going to turn the ball over, 4 times every time you match up with them. So, yeah, you got to bolster that O-line. You could use a playmaker outside of De'Ami Brown and company. And, we're talking about Austin Eckler and year, whatever it is. So, yeah. So, like, there's a lot there. There are easy things to improve for a team that was already a game away from the Super Bowl.
I tell you what, that is great analysis. And, if you look at that game, Peter and everybody, all 3 of their fumbles, which were all preventable, right? I mean, fumbles are fumbles. That's football. But on all 3 fumbles, they were driving. I mean, that was the thing. That every one they were. It's not like they were 3rd and 10 and they sacked Daniels and he fumbled. Every single fumble, they were in the middle of a successful drive. So, you can't even imagine what this game would have been had they not had those three fumbles. The pick at the end didn't matter. The game was over. Those 3 fumbles nailed them all on drives. That offense, I don't know what they can do to get that better, but that thing is, they had all these drives against what is supposed to be one of the best defenses, right, in the NFL. So if you're a Washington fan, man, you got to really feel good about 2025.
And it is kind of comical that AJ Brown listed all of the needs and didn't mention cornerback. Because
he's like, keep Lattimore.
I mean,
he doesn't want it
with whoever was out there.
Lattimore, yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's one of those things, and being in the area with a bunch of Commanders fans, the next day stung a little, but by Tuesday they were riding high. I mean, you should be. The future is very bright. Now you just hope Jaden Daniels can repeat that, and that's up to the coaching staff to do its jobs, because CJ Stroud, the sophomore slump's real. So, you want to try to avoid that as much as possible.
We just want to get him back to RFK Stadium, get that thing refurbished. Let's get the Washington Redskins, or whatever you want to call them. Maybe they'll get their old name back. Let's go back to RFK Stadium. Let's go right downtown DC, and let's make DC great again. I want to get him out of Landover. I want to get him to RFK, that iconic stadium. Put a little paint job on it. We're good to go.
Here.
Yeah, I mean, and I was talking to Jack about this last week, and it was maybe going to be a talking point on the show, but we didn't quite get to it. Was the Jaden Daniels thing, and Peter talking about how Jaden Daniels maybe had the greatest rookie QB season of all time. Barnwell wrote a really long article on ESPN last week, basically saying the exact same thing, that this might be the greatest rookie season ever. The only ones that really compare are bonkers like Jim Brown. The MVP is rookie.
Dan Marino,
1957. Dan Marino, but Dan Marino didn't even throw 300 passes that season. He didn't need to, because the team was so dominant. Dan Marino was excellent, but it was a very small sample of passes, whereas Jaden Daniels had to work a lot harder.
Justin Herbert had the passing yards. You had Ben Roethlisberger with the wins. He went 14-1. But Ben on his podcast this week said he was nowhere near the level of Jaden Daniels. He said he had the best running back in the world, the best defense in the world. If he didn't, he wouldn't have been on the field. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's CJ Stroud. I mean, yeah, Jim Brown. Jaden Daniels putting up the statistical season, the eye test, also just the brilliant fourth quarter comebacks, the Hail Mary, and a championship game, and beating Detroit, beating the number 1 seed. I would put it up there as the best rookie season.
Yeah, with no defense. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like Mark Sanchez. Like Mark Sanchez had an incredible defense. Ben Roethlisberger had an amazing, a Hall of Fame running back and an incredible defense. I think Flacco ended up with the Ravens in an AFC championship game kind of early.
Palomalo, pick them off. Boop, boop, boop,
yeah. That was an incredible defense as well. Even Brady in those early years, we always talk about this with Brady, where it's like, Brady the GOAT, later in his career, unstoppable. But those early years, man, that New England defense was like incredible. So to take a team this far with a defense that struggles to stop anybody, playing a really potent offense in Detroit, and then hanging with the Eagles until the turnovers sort of screwed them. I mean, it is one of the best rookie seasons we've seen from a quarterback. And that's what you want to see if you're a Washington fan, is like the only way you win Super Bowls in this league, well, is to have Patrick Mahomes. But if you don't have Patrick Mahomes, the second best way to do it is you have to have a good quarterback. Like, I mean, a top 5 quarterback. If Jaden Daniels can become a top 5 quarterback, we're going to be talking about Washington for years on this show. That's really exciting to think about. And I'm happy to see that sort of in the future. Although, you know, I would have said the same thing about Joe Burrow a couple years ago. Of course, that hasn't worked out in Cincinnati all the time, but they struggle with injuries, and I'm not sure their coaching staff is always making the right decisions. But and it's Cincinnati. I mean, it's just kind of how it is out there. But I think we're going to be talking about Washington for a long time.
I think Jaden gives other. Sorry, John. I think Jaden gives other teams hope. Like, you were 4-13, and then in 1 year you made a couple right decisions, and you're right in the mix.
The Giants have to be looking at the Commanders and being like, just soon as we have Shadur Sanders, we're going to turn it around too. That's 100% where they're thinking. They're probably wrong, but that's 100% where the hope has got to be. I think it's like, they're like, you know, or the Titans looking at Cam Ward and thinking,
when we're in like the 2 weeks between the Super Bowl, or eventually when the Super Bowl's over, you just watch everything. And right now, now I'm so into Shador, just watching watching him with no pads on, throwing the ball around everywhere on ESPN. I'm like, yes, he's the next Patrick Mahomes. I'm in the hype train already.
Well,
Titans are not going to take it. Tennessee, he's not going first. I can tell you right now that Tennessee's not going to take him. We can get to that later. But if you go back to Daniels, tell me if you guys disagree with this. It was the middle of the third quarter before he missed a pass, like where, you know, it was incomplete. Not that it was not complete, but like he just missed it. Like he threw it behind the guy. It was the middle of the third quarter before he had one errant pass. I mean, this guy's arm is like a laser beam. I've never seen anything like it. Every single pass he throws, timing is perfect. It's pinpoint. It's on target. It's right there where you can catch it. I've never seen anything like it. 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8, it doesn't matter. You know, 4th and 5, it didn't matter. Every pass he threw, the first pass that was like behind the guy was in the middle of the third quarter. I'm like, this guy's not even real. He's like some kind of AI. Yeah, but the thing with him too is he makes the correct read a lot of the time, especially for a rookie, in ways that, you know, like Justin Fields, like, can, you know, throw the ball through a needle, you know what I mean? But like, I mean, I remember last year, I think, reading a long article on the Bears where the writer was basically like, I mean, some of this is schematics, but some of this is just like Fields just isn't making the right read ever. Like, just 70% of the time he's throwing it to a guy who's not open, or not even close to open, when there is someone who is open. And so I mean, I think that's really the important thing. Like Josh Allen, remember the first couple years in Josh Allen's career where everybody was like, oh my God, this guy's arm strength. Like, I mean, here's a guy who can throw it on the rope, right? But it took him a while to figure out how to make kind of the correct read all the time, to stay comfortable in the pocket and throw the ball, to not bail out. I mean, I remember those early sort of Bills playoff games with Allen where he looked a mess. I mean, he was doing all sorts of crazy stuff. You know, just because he was so young. Daniels has so much maturity already in the way that he can the game can progress. And that's what's really, I think, impressive. And for every Jaden Daniels, there's, you know, 10 Bryce Harpers, or not. Yeah.
For every Jaden Daniels, there's 10.
Not Bryce
Young.
Harper. Bryce Young, yeah.
Hey,
I knew that was wrong, and then I thought,
Bryce Young.
Yeah,
I know.
On him. He's not a bust.
And it's worth thinking, I think, a couple things just to sort of continue this conversation a little bit, just because we don't, you know, have a lot of talking points today. We're just kind of talking about these teams. So to continue the conversation a little bit, there were a couple things, interesting things. I think the one is you've seen a lot about Jaden Daniels' poise. Part of Jaden Daniels, when he was getting drafted, he told teams, like, you have to get the VR technology that I've been using at LSU. And it was not really a common thing in the NFL. I don't think it is still. It seems like Jaden Daniels is like a really early adopter of this VR technology. And I mean, his coaches, Cliff Kingsbury, you know, learned to adapt to it as offensive coordinator. And, you know, he's been quoted at length in some articles recently talking about like how it's just a huge game changer. He just gets so much more experience looking at a defense, looking at what a play will look like, and being able to process it on VR. And the way that they operate the VR is that they run it at like 2 times speed. So it's actually faster than it would be in a game. So when he's in a game, it feels slow when he's processing it. And that's why he's able to have that poise. And it looks like the game is moving in slow motion for him, because in some ways it is, because he's already played these games, multiple times on VR, like at an extremely fast speed, where he's had to process quickly. And then when he gets into a game, it comes a lot easier for him. And this has to be the way of the future for future NFL teams, right? Like anybody looking to draft, especially a rookie quarterback, has to be thinking like, we need that technology too, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do? So what do you guys do? Can I just throw this out there, Jack? It's not necessarily on the run sheet, but just because we're bantering. So we got a draft coming up. Ty's got a number 1 pick, right? So I'm not here to talk about Tennessee because we suck. But what do you guys see us doing? I mean, I just love to get your guys' opinion on what you think they'll do.
Who cares? Like, what? I don't want to talk about the Titans right now. We're like,
I'm talking about the first round pick. It's not it's the first round pick is normally a big deal, right? That's normally a big deal. Like if the Bears had the first round pick, we'd be talking about that. So forget what team has it. Who do you guys think we would
wait for 2 weeks?
Well, I had
a
topic that Peter was nodding his head vigorously on and was getting ready to answer before we just pivoted to draft talk. Peter, we were talking about VR stuff. Sort of what that looks like for future quarterbacks as they emerge in the league.
Yeah, I think he said, it's not common in the NFL. It's going to be. You got to think, just looking at, trying to replicate Daniel's success. But I think talking about some of the specifics and what you hit on, John, as far as it pertains to Jaden Daniels' game is like, okay, the accuracy, like, and what you made it sound like was, some of the ISO ball stuff. Like I think about the kind of his coming out party against the Bengals on Monday Night Football when they just blitzed the house and he was able to put a perfect ball into Terry to win that game. But yeah, what really takes him to the next level is, of course, the rushing ability. So that in and of itself, being able to throw the ISO ball and run pretty much eliminates a defense's ability to run man coverage. And so then if he can process zone coverage, which he's done extremely well, it's like I don't know how you stop him. And that's how a team overperforms like this, because the offensive line was not good. He made them look good with how quickly he got rid of the football, how decisive he was, how he could extend plays, and he did all of it without really putting the ball in harm's way. So, yeah, as far as a rookie year, I mean, Washington, like, I don't know, you struck gold.
Well, and as far as Cliff Kingsbury and VR, if he was a little resident about it, I mean, he did have Kyler Murray before, and, Kyler gave him VR goggles. There's no chance he's not playing, Call of Duty or something on those bad boys. So Cliff was probably like, hold on. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll trust you.
Games? Yeah.
But after watching the F1 series on Netflix, they use the VR, to do the racetracks, and they know every inch of the racetrack before they ever get on it. It's spectacular. It's amazing. And talk about with the new generation of kids. I think every facility will have it now because it's just a good recruiting tool. Or hey, when you played over in New Orleans, did you do the VR simulator? Yeah, it's cool. Like I think that will just catch on and something people will be into, and anything that can get them ready to study tape and film. It's just in a way
that's like more accessible.
Yeah. Fun.
And I think more beneficial. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I mean, watching it on VR headset versus just watching a film breakdown, for 8 hours or whatever, seems to make a big difference. All right. Now I think the natural segue is, okay, so we watched Washington just sort of be elevated by their rookie quarterback in a way that is uncommon. We've seen it sometimes, the Chargers with Herbert got a little bit of a bump, but it hasn't really, resulted in any sort of postseason success. We have 2 teams. It looks like there's probably only going to be 2 quarterbacks drafted. They're probably going to go 1 and 2. That'll be the Titans and the Giants. Are either of those teams with potentially Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, and either sort of, are they capable of making that leap? Do you think, like, sort of moving forward in the same way that the Commanders were? I mean, because the Commanders, we forget that they basically had a fire sale on their defense last season, and that's why the defense still had some holes, is because they traded everyone because they thought that this was going to be a long rebuild, and then it turned out to not be. Are the Giants or the Titans sort of poised to make that huge leap with one of these quarterbacks?
I would
you
say
can't win without a quarterback, right? I mean, you just can't do it. This has been proven. You guys opened the segment with it. You just can't win without a quarterback. I mean, you just can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Steelers. I mean, Wilson went down the tubes, and that was the end of him with that great defense and all. It didn't matter. I think Sanders is way too risky. I mean, I think whatever team picks him, you're going to put people in the seats. It would be fun. But I think for a certain franchise like ours, mine, Tennessee, it would be way too risky. I like Cam Ward. I don't know what they're going to do, but, I mean, Sanders could be one of these guys where Tennessee overlooks him, Giants pick him, and he's the next Jaden Daniels. I mean, that's possible. So, yeah, I mean, but without a quarterback, you're just not going to win in this league now.
Yeah, and I did misspeak. Sorry, the Giants are the 3rd overall pick. It's just that the Browns are number 2 and that they are probably not going to take a quarterback, although they could. And that would certainly be interesting.
If they could figure out a way out of Deshaun's contract.
Yeah.
You could just hang out with Justin Tucker for a little while. Maybe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just void that contract out. Just one more time. Okay. So let's move on to talk about. We pretty much handled NFC action for a little while. Let's pivot and talk about the AFC Championship. A much better game by sort of the typical measure. You want it to be close. You want it to come down to the end. This was that Mahomes magic at the end of the game. 3rd straight Super Bowl for the Chiefs. I mean, what were our takeaways? Peter, I'll lead with you. For this one, I just kind of want to get what your sort of big. I mean, when do the Bills break through? I mean, if they can't do it this year, are they ever going to be able to?
Yeah, I honestly look at the Bills as kind of another team that overperformed. Just as far as, I mean, the receiving talent, it's like Khalil Shakir, rookie Keon Coleman, who I wasn't terribly impressed with, and Amari Cooper, who never really seemed to come into form. That said, they were there, and Josh Allen had his chance. They were down by 3, and of course it was that 4th and 5 where they send the house and he's fading away and throws it up, and Kincaid has a chance but isn't able to come down with it. And so I mean, it is a really horrible feeling as a fan of an AFC team with a fantastic quarterback who, by all accounts, deserves to go. He's just born into the era of Patrick Mahomes, and I really think it is a Jordan Bulls situation where, like, there are stories that will never be told about players and individuals just because no one is going to get a chance to get past this guy. Like Mahomes, the team is weak. Like, the Chiefs are going to be better next year. Like, the Chiefs are not a powerhouse. I mean, you give them a couple role players. So yeah, it's a hard thing to kind of walk away from and take anything positive out of it. But I think, Josh Allen, if there's one reason for optimism moving forward, and I guess, we'll get into the specifics of the game, but just trying to like console some Bills fans here, because I was in the same boat this year and really last year. It's like, when have we seen Josh Allen with a superstar quarterback? It was Stephon Diggs, but Allen was young and Diggs was a little bit toxic. Like, if you really give him a playmaker, a la Tyreek Hill, not that you're going to find him, but like what we saw out of the Chiefs back when they were really bombing the football, like the offense can improve a great deal. Like James Cook and the running backs were a major part of this passing game. It can get better. Josh Allen is awesome, but that doesn't help the fact that you had a chance to go down and win it or tie it. And I mean, you didn't.
And you get this feeling because Josh Allen has just been remarkable in all these games as well. And in the regular season, he dominates the Chiefs, but it's when they get to the playoffs, obviously 1-4 now. Is that where we're at? It reminds me of the Brady era where you had, for the Lamar was like Big Ben, and you had, Peyton Manning, and you had people that could sneak in and get a Super Bowl here and there when they would falter. The problem is, in the Brady era, they had like the Ravens would beat them every once in a while. They had like a team that was just like, every once in a while beat them in the playoffs and to give a team a chance. There isn't another team in the AFC that's beating the Ravens. Cincy went. Yeah, you're right. Cincy was becoming that team. Josh Allen, they shouldn't overthink this. They should be in the same role as the Chiefs. Get a couple role players. They're right there. A couple calls go their way, or they make the right play, and the Kincaid catch happens, or if he swings it over, whatever. So they're close. They don't want to blow anything up by any means. But yeah, you're right. There's going to be a lot of Karl Malones and Stocktons out there, that don't get championships because of the greatness of not just Mahomes, but Andy Reid. Who's like, I don't care. I don't care who you get.
Stockton, there's a blast from the past.
Well, Peter did that. Peter set me up with the Michael Jordan analogy. So,
I mean, look, I think a couple of things with this conversation that I think are important to remember. One, other than like a game-changing wide receiver, which of course they used to have, maybe not as much anymore. Like they do have all the pieces. Like they went out and got James Cook. Like they can run the ball. Allen can throw to anybody. They have a good defense. Like this is just, I've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. Like this is just the Chiefs, man. Like it's inexplainable, like inexplicable. Like it just isn't something that we can just sort of, you can just scheme around or just like, wow, one or two more, pieces and they'll get there. The Chiefs just know how to win these close, high pressure games in ways that the Bills maybe don't. I know the fourth down measurement call. I mean, to me, that was a pivotal call. It looked like a first down. It looked like a first down when the play was live. It looked like a first down on the replay. It looked like a first down when you pause it. Like it just, that was a bit of a head scratcher. I think as far as, we like to do the Chiefs get special treatment conspiracies on social media. So like every Chiefs game, you're going to get one conspiracy, but that one was a bit surprising to be like, oh man, Josh Allen gets these first downs all the time. Like it looks like he's behind the sticks. Then all of a sudden it's turnover on downs, which was a huge play. And then of course the Kincaid miss, although I think a flag was also picked up there. I mean, I know that they said, oh, there was a flag that it was like communication between like the booth and the field, but I imagine they picked up a flag. So who knows what they would have called had the flag not been picked up or had Kincaid caught the ball. So it's hard to know, exactly, of course, those little moments. But the Chiefs do what the Chiefs do. Butker made that field goal. They take 2 to 3 minutes to get on the field. They score. They win the game. Tom Brady used to do this all the time. We're just seeing kind of the reincarnation of Patriots dominance. And I just like, I feel awful for Josh Allen. 0-4. That's just like, how many more? Like, you can't go 0-6. You know what I mean? Like, if you keep getting to the like, you can't just keep losing to the Chiefs. And Peter's right. This was not a year where the Chiefs are like really that strong. They always have a pretty good defensive scheme. They have Patrick Mahomes, but like Travis Kelce's over the hill. They don't necessarily have a dynamic running game in the way that they've had in years past.
They just win, but they just win. I
know.
Win.
It's the Chiefs.
You watch him, and first of all, I'm going to be the contrarian here. I didn't think he made the first down when I saw it on TV. I bet the Chiefs, and I'm like, we stopped him. Great defense. So, 50% of the people think in a poll he made it. 50% think he didn't make it. I guess that's what you're.
No, that's the poll. You just made that poll up. That's not a poll.
No, I read that somewhere, but it doesn't matter. I believe this is an opinion show, and I believe he made the first down. You believe he didn't, so we can agree to disagree. What we shouldn't disagree on is the Chiefs' defense is getting no love here. When they kick that field goal, right? They go up by whatever it was. They kick the field goal. Bills get the ball back. They got 3.5 minutes and 3 timeouts. I'm like, wow, this is way too much time. Allen's going to go down the field and worst case, get a field goal, maybe overtime. That was his opportunity. That's where you shine. You got 3.5 minutes. You got timeouts. You got plenty of time. Go down there and win the game. And the Chiefs defense steps up once again in a crucial situation. I don't think they're getting the love. The other thing, if I'm a Bills fan, I don't believe in a game like this in chasing points. I don't believe in it. I thought when they scored a touchdown and went up 7-3, whatever it is, or 10-7, whatever it is. They scored a touchdown early, and then there was a defensive offside. and they went for the 2 and missed it. I thought that was a horrible decision by their coach. You're chasing points in a game like this. You're going to need those points. You know it's going to come down to the wire. I would have never done that. That cost him 2 points because then they tried it again and missed that. That to me were that was a terrible decision he made. You go for the extra on those 2. Basically, you're going to overtime. So I thought that was a bad call, but I don't think the Chiefs' defense is getting the love. 3.5 minutes, Josh Allen ball. If you're betting the Bills and you're getting what I think laying 1.5. I forget the line. I bet the money line. If you're betting the Bills and you got the ball with 3.5 minutes to go and you're down 3 at Arrowhead, you got to feel really good about winning this game. And you went nowhere, right? So, I mean, the Chiefs won the game on defense again.
Yeah, and you bring up the defense, Spagnuolo, man. Spags has got to get all the credit in the world. And if you're the Ravens or the Bills and you're trying to figure out how to beat the Chiefs or replicate this dominance, it's not just X's and O's and players and stuff. It's also this championship mentality and people making sacrifices. Mahomes having a contract where he's like the 5th or 6th highest paid quarterback in the league, which is nuts. And you got Spagnuolo who could be a head coach anywhere, but he's like, no, I'm going to stay. I want to ride with this. We're going to get this thing done. We're going to be a dynasty. You got to have that mentality, and that's tough to replicate.
Yeah, I mean, can one of these bottom feeder teams who just want to have a one and done coach give us all a solid and hire Spagnuolo just for a year? Take him off of the Chiefs, because it really is a luxury.
Tennessee.
Yeah, it's a luxury for them that they have this awesome defensive mind who, for whatever reason, teams don't want to give him that opportunity. And it's just such a pain. I felt the same way about Anarumo when he was on the Bengals, although now obviously he's been fired and that kind of fell apart. But yeah, I think it's a different level of sustained success for Spags and the Chiefs.
Defense, defense wins. Right? What did our father say? Right? Defense wins championships. Defense wins playoff games. It was the Chiefs' defense that won that game, and it goes on heralded. But I tell you, the other thing the Chiefs do, I have no doubt about this, is they're taking Healthy Cell, and they're taking the focus like I do every day. I think Andy Reid's got him on that REM sleep. He's got him on Healthy Cell. He's got him on focus, because they're a very focused team. And you can be a champion too, like the Chiefs. Like REM sleep from Healthy Cell. Like I got home last night. I had to drive back hour and a half from Fairmont. I had to feed the cat. By the way, my cat, Sammy, he thinks he's Mufasa. It's unbelievable, this cat with the testosterone going on in there, especially when it's just me and him. They're running all over the place, meowing at me, pain in the neck. Regardless, I get home. I take my REM sleep, 10 o'clock, 10:15. I'm out like a light, get up at 6:15, 8 hours, ready to go, slept like a baby. This is the best thing that you can do for your body. All you got to do is go to healthycell.com/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla. You're going to 20% off. Also get the focus. Those are the 2 things I take. And these things are so affordable. It's a gel. You just take it out, you down it, and it's really going to have an impact on how you feel. Got to get a good night's sleep to be at the top of your game. Healthycell.com, promo code Godzilla, 20% off your first order. First day you take REM sleep. First day. It's going to change everything about you, because you're going to get a great night's sleep. You're going to jump out of bed ready to go. Healthycell.com, Godzilla, 20% off.
One stat as we sort of are wrapping up our Mahomes and Chiefs and Bills conversation, one stat that got dropped this week was from Trey Wingo, and it just blew my mind. And I'm going to sort of paraphrase him here. And the stat is basically, since 2001, there's been 125 drives in the NFL's postseason where it was at least the fourth quarter, there was under a minute to play, and the team on offense trailed by 7 or fewer at the start. Out of those 125 drives, only 40% of the time did the team on offense get to either overtime or win the game outright in that 1 minute. In those situations where you're trailing by a minute or less, and you have a chance to win or go to OT, Tom Brady converted 5 of 11 for 46%. Drew Brees, 3 for 6 in his career. Patrick Mahomes has been in that situation 7 times, and he's converted every single time.
Jeez. Yeah, that's not fun. That's not fair.
He's 7-0 with the ball with 1 minute or less in the fourth quarter, and he has a chance to win the game or go to OT. And he's done it every single time.
Hey, so there's hope. There's hope. Regress to the mean at some point.
Yeah, at some point. Well,
I mean,
at some point,
but will he?
there needs to be.
Golly.
Yeah, no, that's there's no variance in those numbers. At some point, you do regress a little bit to the mean. It doesn't have to be 50%. Another stat I want to bring up with the Spags conversation, because I was just reminded of this when you guys were talking. Spags, I don't think Spags can get away from his run in St. Louis, 09 to 2011 or whatever, when he went 10-38, I'm sorry, as a head coach, to like pretty awful, like 1-15 and 2-14 seasons there. I mean, look, sometimes your team stinks, you have no personnel, but I just think, I don't think owners are comfortable with that 10-38, win percentage. When his win percentage is pretty bad. So I mean, I love Spags. It'd be cool if he got another shot, but hard to outlive that those 3 seasons in St. Louis.
Well, at some
one season he went 7-9.
Well, and sometimes, and I know this is America, and you're always supposed to want more and more power and more greed. Sometimes you may just be comfortable being the best coordinator at your position, and why the hell would you ever want the pressure of running a team again?
I mean, don't you guys agree that there are some coordinators that are not head coaches?
Sure.
I mean, we've seen this
my God,
over and over. They're great coordinators. You look at what was the guy's name that was
Josh
on
McDaniels for the
Yeah,
Patriots.
Cliff Kingsbury.
and then you go to Kingsbury, right? He was a disaster in Arizona. He was a catastrophe there. Now he's a great offensive coordinator. Go to Arthur Smith. He was one of the best offensive coordinators in the league when they had Henry and Tannehill and them. Play action, whatever he did. And then he goes to Atlanta, and he was a disaster. You got the guy in Tennessee right now, Callahan, great offensive coordinator for the Bengals. They scored all those points, great offense. Guy's just not a head coach. I mean, you just watch him. He's not a head coach. We can't command it. He just can't command it. So you get a lot of this. And look, if you're an OCDC, right, you want to be a head coach. That's kind of the goal. But some of them are not cut out. Look at the guy on the Bears, right? The defensive coordinator. And as soon as the Bears fired him, their defense, which was like top 5 in the league, tanked. That guy should get hired as a DC someplace.
Saleh,
right? Yeah, no, Saleh is the same thing with the Jets. I mean, these.
What about
he got hired, right? He's with the Niners.
I'm sorry.
What about Charlie Weiss? Remember him?
Dude,
yes,
there's one for you.
Another one.
Charlie Weiss.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of them.
I'm just gonna keep throwing out coordinators the rest of the show from 25 years ago.
Where did Charlie Weiss Where did Charlie Weiss coach? Where was it? Where did he get a shot?
Yeah, Notre Dame. He was like the head coach in Notre Dame.
Oh yeah. He went to NCAA. That's right.
Look at Georgia. Look at their former quarterback when I was a young man. That's their OC now. What's his name? Bobo, right?
Mike
Bobo, right? He's still their OC. He was OC, and then he was OC, and then he was a head coach somewhere. It just didn't work out. Now he's back to OC. They got that great offense. So there's a lot of people that just, they're just not cut out for that particular situation, but they're great. They got the guy on the Bears that got fired on Thanksgiving Day. After that guy, I mean, you think about it, the Bears had whatever problems they had. They had top 5 defense. And he was defensive coordinator and head coach. As soon as they fired him, their defense went to crap. They went from top 5 to bottom 5. I mean, you can't argue with stats, right?
Yeah, no, totally. Let us not forget that Chip Kelly finally won his first national championship as an offensive coordinator, not as a head coach as well.
That's true. That's true.
All right, we got some other news. We're going to switch it up. We're going to stop talking about teams, and we're just going to talk about one person for a second. Justin Tucker had some late season struggles, missing some field goals that he normally makes. News story just recently broke this week, and it looks like maybe Justin Tucker had a lot on his mind towards the end of the season. These stories are usually pretty slow developing, as people, you gotta fact check a lot of sources, you got to corroborate things. It takes a little while to get these things publishable. I think that there's a strong chance that Justin Tucker probably knew that this was a thing that was about to get put out into the world towards the end of the season when he was struggling. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Given that now he has been accused of sexual assaults, sexual harassment by about 6 massage therapists. It seems as though he's been 86 from multiple establishments around Baltimore. At least 2 spas have told him he's got like a lifetime ban. Several other massage therapists just ended it early because he was being creepy.
Did you just say an early ending? Did you?
Yeah.
No. Okay. I didn't know if you did that. I don't know if you did that or not.
So I guess I mean, this seems real. There's been multiple journalists that have talked to these people. They all basically have the same story. They all basically are saying the same thing. I mean, what does this mean? I mean, Justin Tucker was a legend in Baltimore. I mean, he is like Mr. Baltimore. He's,
hey,
like grocery store guy, like he's on TV everywhere. And for this to happen, I mean, it's
well, first of all, Nate, these are alleged, right? So let's just make that clear on live radio. These accusations are alleged. It's going to be up to law enforcement to figure out what they're going to do, and the DA there. So these are all alleged. So let's start with that. But quite frankly, gentlemen, even to get in a position where you would have these allegations in that status you are in your life is absolutely insane beyond belief, especially after what happened to Mr. Watson. I mean, you just got to be, you got to be kidding me, dude. I mean, you got all this money, you got the world, you had all these commercials in Baltimore, you're a legend there. I mean, even to put yourself in a position, again, these are alleged accusations. Nothing has been presented. There's no DA, there's no indictment, there is no grand jury, there isn't anything. These are just allegations, so they could all be false. But even to get yourself in the position where you could have a false allegation is what my point is. Like, why would you do that? I mean, go figure something out to do with your time. It's just, it's sad, it's stupid, and I don't know what the facts of this case is, but I really shouldn't even be in a position where that's out there. I don't know. That's just as an older guy. That's just like, dude, come on, man.
And Tucker's reputation.
What's not alleged is that 2 spas have come out and said, like, yeah, we banned him already, like, because he was being weird. So that's not alleged. That's just what they did. And I think I'm not much of a massage guy, but I am a bar guy, right? And you go into a bar, and if you get 86 out of the first one, you think like that, could have gone either way. Somebody doesn't want to serve me. Whatever. The second time you get 86 from a different bar for being a weird drunk, I think you have to like sort of look inward and be like, all right, maybe I got like a real problem here. And it's making people uncomfortable. And I think that, like not having that awareness is a problem.
Well, and his reputation started, you saw him on the plane, like making fun of like Russell Wilson earlier, and then he's missing kicks. So it's like his reputation started to sour a little bit. But shout out to the AI. I love ChatGPT. So there's been some fun stuff. It's like Deshaun Watson, him and Robert Kraft just like hanging out together. There's lots of these things that are popping up. So there's memes galore right now. But what I think it's a smear campaign. He started missing kicks, and now they're just like, boom, let's get rid of there. He's going to get out of this contract right now. No, I agree. It's just with the parallels to Deshaun Watson, it just seems like.
I mean, you just gotta smarten up. I mean, I guess my point is, look, the Kraft thing. The guy lost his wife. I mean, he was in grief. I'm not even going to comment on that. But I gave him I don't know what happened there, but the guy, his wife had just died. They were married forever. Okay, stuff happens in a guy's head.
Well, and he allegedly went to a place that does that too. You're not just popping it at a massage bar.
It's just bad. It's just like, it's bad, but like I got the Kraft thing because of his wife, and he was depressed. Okay, whatever. I don't want to talk about that here. There's no upside. But like, why are you even going there? Like, why would you even go there? Like, you're Justin Tucker. You're trying to make kicks. You're on commercials. You're a name that's on people's TV. Like, why would you even pass it and go there? Like, do something else with your time. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me. Like, what's in your head? I'm driving by. I think I see the sign. I think I'll go in there. Like, why would you go there? I mean, you're a figure. Yeah. You're a media figure.
Yeah, I have a question. Can we get the guy on this show who is locked into the Baltimore world and like to to talk for a minute on kind of just Peter, like what's going on in the Baltimore universe with this kind of stuff, either the city or the news media. I mean, this story is developing, and it'll continue to kind of develop into some more sort of factual revelations at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just speak on it from my perspective. Is like you grow up with this kicker, and kickers are kickers, right? They're in one, they're in the door, they're out. Who cares? Except for when you get a good one. And Tucker was unique in that, like, the offense. There were years where it was Joe Flacco, Mike Wallace, and Kamar Aiken on offense, and our offensive weapon was number 9, Justin Tucker. This guy who could crush it from any distance, would dance afterwards like no kicker should do, except he's Justin Tucker, so he can do that. And it's heartbreaking. It's like, why? Like, what is? I just don't understand. And of all the people, like, he's an opera singer by all accounts, like a Baltimore icon, a team leader who is proficient at what he does. Set aside whatever happened this year, like in the playoffs, didn't miss a kick. And so I mean, you read it and it's like, whatever, like, you never want to read that article. Like, that was disgusting. To even, I mean, read about like I don't know, like a childhood icon. That's like not what you want to pull up on a Friday. But
yeah, I mean, I'll just kind of second sort of Peter's reaction there. I'm tired of talking about this kind of stuff when it comes to sports, and specifically the NFL. I'm tired of reading these types of articles. I'm tired of having to put this on the run sheet because it happens way too frequently in all sorts of contexts, and this happens across sports, but specifically in the NFL, it happens all the time, and it's disgusting. It's sickening. It's awful to read. It's exhausting to have to continue to talk about this all the time. And the NFL needs a culture shift in this regard. Like, they have to start talking about this openly. Like, the NFL as an organization is a powerful organization. They, have 32 owners who are extremely wealthy. They have the best ratings of any sports. They set the zeitgeist for sports and for culture all the time. And yet they are too cowardly as an organization to come out and have a real conversation about some of the ways in which their most iconic players and owners and all this stuff are behaving in a way that is gross and just awful. And they need to be having this conversation as an organization. Like, this is a company, or it's a bunch of companies filed around an organization. If you have, and Dad talks about this all the time, if you have a culture problem, then you cannot move forward as an organization because you have an issue within, like, your culture. And this is an issue within the NFL's culture. And they need to be having open conversations about the behavior of some of the sport's biggest stars. They have to stop hiding behind legalism and allegations, etc. Like, this is a cultural issue. I'm tired of having to address these issues on this show and having to read about them and think about them. The NFL needs to do more to address some of the ways in which their players are behaving poorly off of the field. And between Deshaun Watson and this and all this other stuff, I mean, there needs to be a culture shift. We have to start thinking and talking openly about the ways in which this stuff stuff is affecting American society, because it's awful and it's gross and
it's gross.
And we need, Roger Goodell needs to sort of man up here.
Well, he's not going to man up because he's a coward, right? So here's what Goodell does, right? And I'm going to go to the top of the hour so Jack doesn't go crazy. So Goodell, right? He doesn't say anything about any of this stuff. He has no coach. He got all the stuff going on, but he can let players kneel during the national anthem, and he can do all the woke stuff, and he can do all that. That's easy. See, that's cowardly. That's a coward. You can do all that stuff because of social media pressure, but now you got all these players with this culture, and there's not a peep out of him. And you're right. He's going to legal up and lawyer up, but when it comes to woke stuff, Goodell's right there. Guy's a coward and a dreadful.
Yeah. So this. Look,
we're going to the top of the hour.
Yeah, we're going to get to the top of the hour, and then we're going to move on because I'm not going to get in a fight with my father about nonsense. But like
nonsense,
everything I just said has nothing to do with what you just said.
Yeah, because
so
he's a coward.
These are two different things, and you tried to weasel your way into this conversation to get your right wing politics into a conversation that has nothing to do with that. So I spent 5 minutes like trying to have like an open conversation about something, and you changed the subject to serve your own ideology. So let's go to the top of the hour and let's talk about football because like that's some nonsense. Don't do that again.
The guys.
And we'll be right back after a little reset here. Don't change the dial if you're loving this conversation because we'll be right back in just 1 minute after we refill our coffees.
You're listening to Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network. For a deeper dive without the jive, visit the website of winners, GodzillaWins.com. Let's get back to the show with the guys in the know, John, Jack, and Nate. It's Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Welcome back to another episode of the Godzilla Wins Saturday Pick Show. We are back for a second hour of football coverage. Like to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by Native Path. Go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Get started on your collagen journey. We're all using it, and we're using it to support healthy skin, nails, hair, and joint health. The joint health has been huge for John on his weight loss journey. He's trucking through airports like a man on a mission these days, losing a little bit of weight, looking good, skin glowing, hair potentially growing back. It's been really huge for him. It's been really huge for all of us. So just what you do is, as you get a little bit older, you need a little supplements. You need a little supplements to help your collagen production and retention. So you just take a little scoop of that, you throw it in your coffee, you throw it in your water, OJ, whatever you want to do, just dump a little collagen in there. It's tasteless. Just froth it up, bang, put it down, and you are going to start seeing some results pretty quickly. Within a couple of weeks, so you can get started on your collagen journey for up to 45% off if you go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Get started for about $1 a day. All right, we're going to be giving out some picks here. We are getting to the picks portion of the show. They're for entertainment purposes only. And if you have a gambling problem, I'd urge you to call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you live in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming, call 1-800-327-5050 or go to gamblinghelpline-ma.org. If you're in Massachusetts, call 877-G-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY if you're in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 if you're in Kansas or New Hampshire, 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org if you're in Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, or go to opgr.org if you are in Oregon. Whew. All right.
Very nice.
That's
Very nice.
Your disclaimer, that's good. You
Fun
have
top of the hour. We are
I
back.
you have a career in disclaimers.
I could engineer that for you. I could pre-produce it.
I mean,
I
it's
actually
pretty good,
had
right?
a student in class. I was talking about doing radio. And he goes, I knew that voice was too good for just being a teacher, man.
Yeah. there you
Yeah,
go.
it's good.
Yeah.
You know, you can make those pharmaceutical commercials where there's 60 seconds and 50 seconds of it is disclaimers.
Mhm.
You can make a fortune just doing those.
Hey, man.
Like the
Read
micro
fast.
machine guy.
Read fast. All right. So we got, we can talk about some of the teams and stuff, but we had some talking points that we didn't even make from the first hour that were on the run sheet that I think we can briefly touch on a little bit. I think the first thing is, early bets that we're making for the Super Bowl. Obviously, we're still 8 days away from the Super Bowl, but the lines are up, props galore this time of year. I mean, now it's sort of like it used to be that like you could really only get good props for the Super Bowl, and it was like this big thing, and you went down to the sports book and you got the big stack of props. Now you get props pretty much every game. There's not that much different with the Super Bowl, maybe some cross sport ones you wouldn't normally get, but now we get props all the time. We're spoiled. But big prop season, big game. Are there any bets that any of us are making to sort of, 8 days out that we want to just lock in now?
I bet $50 on heads on the coin toss.
Yeah.
You
You lay 110 or was it just even money?
110. So I laid 55 to win 50.
Terrible. Just awful.
That's-
And we run a gambling show.
That's coming up, heads, baby. I'm gonna
Just
start the
awful
game
stuff.
off right. I got doing that coin flip.
No,
I can
yeah,
feel heads coming.
Unbelievable.
from a value and probability standpoint, the 50-50 coin toss having to lay 110 is like so awful, but I do it too because you have
There
to.
are some
I mean, it's
places
like-
that are doing
gotta
it
do it.
just for kicks.
You got
Yeah,
you got
juice
to
free would be
coin
great.
toss.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not a big like prop guy during the season because I don't have any money. If I was rich, oh my God, I'd bet so many props. But unfortunately, I don't have any money. So I have to stay away from those during the season. But during the Super Bowl, oh my God, this is like the most fun. I mean, it is. This was the only time, like and Nate and I remember this, like this is like before sports betting was legal, at least from the Supreme Court standpoint. All these states started, doing it. I mean, I come from Mississippi, where you can go into a brick and mortar casino and go to the sports book and bet all these things. Me and Nate both lived in Nevada for a long time, and you would do that. It was awesome. You would go down to the sports book in like 2014 and with like all your props written out, and you just like hand them you'd have a stack of slips, and you just you toss them like you do with the horse just when they didn't hit. They're so incredible. So I mean, we can talk, of course, about the rushing props and some of the ones that we get all the time now, but the stupid ones, you have to like how long the halftime show lasts, and like the Gatorade color is always my favorite. I'm always trying to find like the long shot Gatorade, like the purple is always like 12 to 1.
Yeah, right. Like trolling Twitter to
know.
see what song they're going to open with for the halftime show.
Right.
Yeah. I also like doing overtime. I mean, that's a prop that you can get now anywhere. Is will the game go to overtime? The money is so good on those because Super Bowls never go to overtime. But man, if it hits, what a thrill! So there's a couple of like the stupid ones that I kind of like. I'm sure we can go through some of them if we wanted to. But I'm with that. I'm all in on the coin toss here. I know. I mean, from like you write it up from a value standpoint, dumbest thing you could do is take it's not 50-50, it's like 50.3 or something because of the weight, but it's mostly, it's 50-50 for our purposes. So to take 50-50 and to then have to lay 110 is like unreal. It's so stupid, but you got to do it, toss a little money on heads and just, hope for the,
Did you bet heads or tails?
I haven't done it yet. I'm still recuperating from all the Josh Allen props I lost last week, and then Nate gave me a loser on Wednesday for college basketball. So, I need to re-strategize here.
Wait, just go to. All you got to do, I can get you.
No, I'm not tailing
I
anything.
got a big
you do.
heart.
Based on our
Hockey.
conversation,
Look, guys, I
based
take
on
care
our
of my family.
conversation,
Just go to Daily
no,
Pick. Just go to
no.
GodzillaWins.com and go to Daily Picks and look at my hockey picks. Now I had a little rough spot there. I won 7 in a row. Then I lost 4 to 5. Now I've won 3 in a row. So I had a winner last night, Dallas Stars. I got a best bet today, which I'll release, which is already up there, so I can release it now. Carolina at home. So I get hot in hockey, man. Ride that wave, baby. I'm gonna get all your money back.
No, I don't. Based on our conversation before the top of the hour, I don't subscribe to anything you subscribe to. Everything you do, I do the exact opposite. I don't agree with you on anything, including your daily picks. The only thing I do agree with you on is your love for or addiction to coffee. That's the one thing we can both agree on.
Gambling.
We both drink. Yeah, we both drink coffee. Even gambling. I mean, whatever he's doing, I'm doing the opposite. So everybody here, all 14 listeners from Nashville to Virginia, they need to know whatever he says, I'm doing the exact opposite. And that includes all his daily. I go on his daily picks and I fade him all the time, and I can win money that way, especially.
Well, that's why if you fade me in hockey, that's why you don't have any money.
No, I don't bet hockey. I don't even really understand hockey, to be honest with you.
All right, so I got like a real prop that's not heads or tails or OT.
Yeah, I like a couple too.
I was kind of looking, and reading some articles and blah, blah, blah. And the one that kind of stood out to me was some of these like receiving props. I keep staring at Dallas Goedert over like 47, 48 receiving yards.
I like
the
it.
Chiefs give up so many yards to tight ends. I mean, like looking at some of the Chiefs games against tight ends this season, Isaiah Likely had 9 catches for 111 yards against the Chiefs. Brock Bowers had 10 for 180 against the Chiefs. George Kittle had 77 yards against the Chiefs. Mike Gesicki had 91 yards against the Chiefs. Freiermuth had 60 yards against the Chiefs. So, the Chiefs give up a lot of yardage to tight ends. So, I think I'm pretty skeptical of the Eagles' ability to win this game, but, they will move the ball. And I think that passing it, over the middle of the field to tight ends might be sort of one of their paths to be able to move it a little bit. So I keep looking at these Dallas Goedert props, and I will probably play an over on the yardage there. It's sort of my big one. But as far as the game goes, I mean, I put a little bit of extra money on the Chiefs last week just to sort of secure my futures little portfolio. If the Chiefs win, I basically break even. If the Eagles win, I win a little bit of money from a preseason bet I made.
I like the
Mitch,
Goddard. Okay.
I know you got a couple. I'll jump in and then you can. And this also is the Goddard. I mean, they targeted him like crazy in that Washington game. He was alone in the field.
I know.
I mean, and the Chiefs do they do give up a lot of yards to big tight ends who can be effective. Although Isaiah Likely, as Peter has said on the show, transformational tight end. He's been writing about Isaiah Likely on Godzilla Wins when he used to write for us for years, talking about how he's underappreciated and underutilized. So shout out to Peter's Isaiah Likely analysis, because he's been banging that drum for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, he's a likely truther.
Yeah, he is.
Proud to bear that flag.
Do you have anything that kind of stands out to you as like an angle for the game, Peter?
Man, I would love to come on here and say like Oren Burks tackle prop, like something just really in the weeds. And you know what? Let's do it. I mean, Oren Burks, all right, an ascending player on this Eagles defense, 88% of the snaps in the conference championship game. It's been going that way. Chiefs are gonna, they attack the middle of the field, and whatever it is, I think it's too low because he jumped out on film to me.
Okay. Mitch, I see you just loading him up like you're just hunched over the keyboard. You're just ready to go.
There was a Dallas Goedert one that was like he's had over 50. He's had a 15-yard reception in 10 of his last 12 games, but it's minus 300. So it's that's a little tough one. No, the one I love is one I've typically done for years and years is special teams or defensive touchdown. That's plus 295. And it's minus 425 for no. It seems like there's always one in the Super Bowl, or at least a good chance at it. No, I was looking up what is the octopus bet. Have you ever heard of this before?
Yeah, the octopus.
Yeah. So the octopus is enlighten me, plus 1,300, minus 3,500.
So the octopus is a player scores a touchdown, and then they also convert the 2-point conversion.
Oh man. Oh, you know what? An octopus bet. That's pretty fun.
In this game, that's not a bad prop to throw some money on.
I mean, with Hurts and Saquon especially.
Yeah. On the Eagles side, like specifically with Hurts and that tush push, and then Saquon, they can give it to him. You give it to him, he scores a touchdown, then you give it to him, and he scores a 2-point conversion. That's pretty easy. So the fact that you don't have to choose a player, it's just like could be whoever. And there's no saying Mahomes can't do that either. I mean, he kind of likes to throw the ball down at the goal line, but he can certainly run it in as well. And they can go to Kelsey twice too. So, I mean, there's a lot of options there. I kind of think that Mitch, you might be onto something with the octopus bet, specifically with like the Eagles. I mean, Jalen Hurts can, he can get in the end zone twice in 2 plays for sure.
I'm looking at Saquon Barkley, but that line to get almost, even, minus 100, 110 is they have him at 120 yards. And I'm like,
it's crazy. They can't set the line high enough for him right now.
Yeah. That's tough.
Went under it last game, but just barely. And he still had over 100.
And you just don't know what Andy Reid's going to do. He can, if he wants to stop Saquon, he probably can, and then let AJ Brown run all over the field. I don't know.
So I've never bet, other than the coin toss. That's not really a prop. I've never bet a prop in my life, ever. Not one. I don't even know how to do it. But I am going to bet my first prop in the Super Bowl, and I'm going to bet Barkley under. I think it's 118.
Yeah,
115.
Like wherever you can find it. Yeah, I saw 120
around there.
Yep.
DraftKings was like 119. I'm definitely betting under. Andy Reid is not going to let Saquon Barkley beat him. Maybe maybe Hurts beats him. Maybe Goddard, somebody beats him. Saquon Barkley is not going to beat Kansas City in this game. Not with Spagnuolo. They're drawing all kinds of stuff up. Now, this is the other thing with Andy Reid and this staff. And Spagnuolo's part of it. You give these guys 2 weeks. You know what their record is when they all coming off a bye or having that extra week? It is like it's like 90%. I mean, you give this staff an extra week. Look out. They're going to draw all kinds of things up. I don't think Barkley beats them in this game. They might lose, but it ain't going to be him. So that's the only prop I'm ever going to bet is Barkley under 120 yards.
Peter, I've seen you reacting to some of our hot takes here. Anything you want to comment on in particular?
As far as the betting goes, no, but I think John's all over it. Like, the game plan has to be take away Saquon and make the Eagles win in a different way. Now, I don't think it's super favorable for most teams to say, okay, we took away Saquon. Now all we have to do is stop AJ Brown in single coverage. But the Chiefs are one of the few teams with McDuffie, who took over that Super Bowl last year, really took Deebo Samuel out of the game. Ayuk, like, McDuffie is awesome. And he's just kind of been an unsung player on an unsung defense, to be honest. But yeah, if they can take away Saquon, then the game becomes interesting. But we haven't seen anyone able to do that.
We have not. All right, we're getting to a portion of the show where we, first of all, need to talk about Rosie's Gaming. And second of all, we've been keeping John in the cage, and what he wants to talk about, we never let him talk about. And we're just going to give John 5 to 10 minutes to talk about West Virginia baseball and any of his hockey bomb picks.
Yeah, because you guys cut me out, right? You cut me out of the conversation, but that's okay. I'm an adult. I can take it. Like, I'm a big boy. I get plenty of airtime. It's all good. By the way, this is a great radio show. I got to tell everybody, go to GodzillaWins.com. Every day, go to GodzillaWins.com. We have great articles up there. We've got a great group of writers. We're very excited about, what we're doing and the opportunity that we've given so many of our guys. And my son, Jack, as you know, is the CEO of Godzilla Wins. He's doing a super job. My whole team is Dan Angel. You guys are doing an excellent job. And then if you go to daily picks every day, we got our picks up there. So I'm the hockey analyst, hockey and baseball. Football, fade me. I'm just horrible. But hockey, I spend actually a lot of time on it. Baseball, same thing. Now, Colonial Downs, check this out. In Richmond, actually in New Kent, 20 miles outside of Richmond, they have a special spring meet. I guess you could call it spring. March 13th, 14th, and 15th at Colonial Downs, 3 days only. Then their summer meet starts in July. 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now get this. On Saturday, the two biggest Virginia races in history, the Virginia Derby and the Virginia Oaks. Check this out. Both of them are going to be run on Saturday, March 15th. That is so cool. And what I've asked Colonial Downs to do, and they agreed, is reserve 5,000 tickets for our fans at $5 each. This thing is going to be sold out. They're going to go up to $20 right now. On Saturday, you can get your tickets for $5. Just go to Ticketmaster, Colonial Downs, $5. Grandstand seats, get in. Now, the winner, check this out. The winner of the Virginia Derby, which is $1 million purse in and of itself, automatic bid to the Kentucky Derby in May at Churchill Downs. This is a 3-day meet you don't want to miss, and you want to get tickets right now for Saturday because this thing is going to be sold out. All the suites are sold out. Everything is sold out. Ann and I are going to be there. It is so cool. Just go to Ticketmaster.com. Colonial Downs, Saturday, March 15th. Get your tickets now. $5 for a grandstand box seat ticket. Can't beat it. Do it now. Or for more information, go to colonialdowns.com. That's colonialdowns.com.
All right. Do you want to talk about West Virginia baseball at all, John?
Well, listen, they got a scrimmage today. I'm going to see that because I'm here in the Fairmont. It's about 20 minutes, I guess, south of Morgantown. So they're scrimmaging out in the snow, and that's kind of the WVU way. Their season opens on February 15th in Jacksonville, which is going to be a lot of fun. Some of our Florida listeners are going to be there. Tom Dickman's going to be there. Starman's going to be there. Tim Skillet's going to be there. So a lot of our Florida peeps are going to be there. They open with a 4-game set against Jacksonville. Now they're ranked. They're ranked by the writers, by the coaches as the number 4 team in the Big 12. They got a really good team this season. As you know, last season, West Virginia baseball went to the Super Regionals. They came within a couple outs of getting to Omaha. I mean, think about that. They had 2 leads in the 9th inning in both games against North Carolina. They win those 2 games, a couple outs away. They go to Omaha. I think this season's team is better. So I'm very excited about it. We got a great veteran team. About 50% of the players are new, because of the portal and everything else now. But they then their whole starting rotation is turned over. So the 4 guys that were starting, they all got drafted. They're gone. We got 4 new starters coming in. Their offense is going to be awesome. They got a lot of depth on this team. But one of the strengths of this team is the back end of the bullpen they have. This is really now, with the arms they got in the pen, this is like a 7-inning game. I mean, they get ahead in the 7th inning. Good luck beating them with some of the high profile relievers they have. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to scrimmage today, sitting out in the cold. It's fun to watch them play when there's snowbanks in the outfield. So if the ball gets hit over somebody's head and it goes in the snowbank, it's a ground rule double. So that's kind of fun. But you can get season tickets now if you're anywhere in West Virginia now. You can get season tickets. Get this, only 50 remaining. They're going to sell out. Season tickets are going to be sold out. Never happened in WV baseball in the history of it. When I checked on, I think it was Thursday afternoon. Get this, guys, on Thursday afternoon, only like 47 season tickets were remaining. So there's been a run on season tickets. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope to see you all there. And so it's going to be fun. Also, because we have a little time, I've got 2 tickets to give away to the basketball game, West Virginia against Utah at home next week. That is sold out. Anybody that calls in, talks to Al, we got 2 tickets with your name on it. So a lot of fun here at West Virginia. We're also launching a new website called WVSportsNation.com. A lot of our writers will be on that. So we're looking forward to that. WVU Sports Nation. WV, not you, WVSportsNation.com. That's coming in a couple of weeks, probably 1st of March. So look out for that. But there's my update on WVU baseball. And thank you for asking, Nate. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
That's
Love
awesome.
hearing about West Virginia now.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
the Kings of West Virginia radio on about 75 stations, dominating the airwaves. Let's back to football. Okay,
The Pro Bowl.
No Pro Bowl analysis here.
What do you mean?
So I guess, we kind of wanted to break down individual units, depending on how we are for time and how this runs. We may skip a unit or 2 and pick that up on Saturday. But I think that the first thing to sort of talk about, that needs to be sort of, it's the unavoidable one, is Philly's offense has looked at times unstoppable. Washington had a really hard time stopping them. But kind of coming into the postseason, there were some real concerns, and I'm sure Peter can sort of speak to this, that like the offense looked a little flat. They were having trouble moving the ball through the air. AJ Brown, seemed frustrated. He said he wasn't, winning cures everything. But they finally did kind of air the ball out a little bit more last week. I guess, like, what do we expect from Philly's offense as they take on Steve Spagnuolo's blitz happy, aggressive as hell defense? Can they run the ball? Can Saquon get the separation that he needs at the line of scrimmage?
No.
Peter?
I mean, I will believe it when I see it that someone stops him. I hope they stay patient with it. And the reason for this is like the Eagles' offense is so much better when they are at least at or in front of the sticks. And the odds that you get stopped behind the line of scrimmage are pretty slim with that offensive line. So one thing that I've loved about watching Saquon on film this year, as opposed to maybe a little bit when he was back in New York, was like he's getting the dirty yards. Like he'll go and get that 3-yard run right up the middle, right? And I think part of that is probably just, you're on a winning team. You want to do everything you can. And, having that financial security, you don't necessarily need to worry about getting down in there. So he's doing an awesome job of knowing, like he's making the right reads, even when it is just a few yard rush. I would much prefer that than watching Jalen Hurts get the ball out of shotgun and just drift and drift and drift and roll and throw it away. That passing offense should be big play, explosive perimeter passing. And that's what it has been at its best because A.J. Brown has the most yards outside the numbers as any quarterback. Jalen Hurts has the most yards outside the number of any quarterback. So please stick with Saquon. Now, the interesting thing about that is like the Chiefs defensive line. I've, kind of been onto this dating back to even last playoffs when we ran into them in the AFC Championship game. We couldn't generate push against that defensive line, which is interesting because you don't think of the Chiefs as like a super imposing defensive line. You think of Chris Jones, but they have guys like Mike Pennell and just huge edge players like Karl Loftus. Karl Loftus isn't necessarily a special pass rusher, but it's size. Like they prioritize size. And, the Eagles, I tend to believe, can displace any defensive line. But you saw it on the, QB sneaks with Josh Allen. Who stopped them all year? And the Chiefs were able to get up in there and muddy that. So stick with the run game. But yeah, it's that's kind of what I'm going to be keyed into.
I think the one thing that I'm thinking about is that James Cook last week had a pretty successful game when the Bills stuck to like their sort of disciplined their offensive scheme a little bit. Sometimes with the Bills, I wonder if in these big games, if like they don't often, I feel like they abandon what was successful for them all year in the biggest moments to kind of say, okay, we're going to change the game plan and Josh Allen's just going to win this game. James Cook had a pretty good game. I mean, now James Cook is pretty incredible. Like that touchdown sort of where he was in the air and stuck the ball. Oh my God, that was so awesome. But and now you're talking about, okay, take the same defensive unit and put him against Saquon Barkley, which is like, an upgrade from James Cook with a better offensive line. If the Eagles can be patient and be disciplined and not get overwhelmed by like the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes scoring on like 4 plays or getting ahead, 14-0 and starting to panic a little bit, which I mean, that happens to all these teams. I don't know. I mean, the Eagles were in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, so maybe they have some discipline here. If you can stick with the run game and sort of dominate the clock, then you can start to open up that pass game, and you can be pretty useful and explosive with AJ Brown and some other stuff. But you're right about Karl Loftus and the Chiefs. The thing about this is like we can talk for 2 weeks about how maybe the Chiefs could be a little exposed on their run defense, and then the game will start and they will be like dominant. Like it's just crazy how good they are at just figuring it out and having the right defensive scheme and the right plays in place and confusing Sirianni in the offense and everything else. And it's really incredible to watch the Chiefs sort of do this from a coaching standpoint. But I mean, if I'm thinking the Eagles, like we have to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball, and we got to run the ball with Hurts and we got to run the ball with Barkley, and not listen to AJ Brown, who, by the way, was also acting kind of like ridiculous all game, like picking fights and stuff. I mean, I know Travis Kelce does the same thing, like whatever. Like, I mean, it's the AFC NFC Championship, but man, I mean, he was jacked up. So, like, just excited. So I can also see a situation where if AJ Brown is not getting the ball the way that he wants to, maybe they're going to hear about it on the sideline, especially if they're losing, because he's definitely like an animated figure on that offense.
I mean, I look at the stats for Philly, and I see reasons to be optimistic. If I'm a Philly fan, I think in some ways that they can generate some offense, and I think that there are things that really worry me, particularly against the Chiefs. I'm looking at Hurts's PFF passing grade against the blitz. He's 23rd out of 32 qualifying quarterbacks. That's not good. It's especially not good because Spagnuolo is famously sort of a blitz-happy defense. This season, they haven't blitzed quite as much as people, I think, give them credit for. They're like 13th in blitz rate out of 32 defenses. They blitz 34% of the time. But on those 34% of the time, Hurts doesn't handle the blitz particularly well. He's a mobile quarterback. You'd think that he would be able to slip out and at least get some yardages, by being kind of crafty with his legs. But that's not always the case with Hurts. He doesn't pass the ball particularly well, and if there's an unblocked rusher coming towards him, he doesn't get away from that unblocked rusher particularly well. So those are real concerns, I think, if you're just looking at Philly's defense or Philly's offense. The same token, I think, to sort of speak to Peter's point, as far as the rushing game goes, I'm not sure that we've seen a team that can stop the Philly offensive line. I mean, just the amount of separation they get for him, I mean, Saquon has 2.5 yards before contact per rush, which is the highest of any running back in the league. So, he's running for, the 3 yards in a cloud of dust thing before anyone even really touches him. And then if he gets past if he gets beyond 2 yards, if he's not contacted within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage, he averages 13 yards per carry. It's just nuts. It's if he can just get past the defensive line, then he's off to the races and he breaks off those huge runs. That's why the average is sort of inflated. So, I mean, you just have to be on him so often. And there's just such a huge home run threat that I feel if you're Philly, you're thinking well, we can probably break off at least one or two really game-changing type runs with Saquon. I mean, that doesn't seem unreasonable. Peter, you want to hop in on that?
Yeah, I think to your point about some of the explosive runs where a little bit, counterintuitive is when teams really load the box to stop him, if they are able to get him up to speed, you're in trouble when all those players are at his level and don't have the angle on him. So he's generated a lot of those explosive 60+ yard runs against run defenses, concepts that are put in place to stop him. So yeah, because I think at the root of the offense, it's the X's and O's aren't necessarily, overwhelming, but you have guys who kind of they're math breakers. Right, Saquon makes 3 guys miss on the first play of the game last week. AJ Brown in single coverage is just a non-starter for any defense. So it's certain things that it's simple, but it works because of just the supreme talent on the offense.
Well, and it'll also be Hurts trying to overcome his biggest weaknesses, like you said. He holds on to the ball too much. I would imagine Spagnuolo is going to do a lot of run blitzes. I mean, if they throw it when they do the run blitz, you have pressure still coming at Hurts at the same time to force him to make a quick decision. But Hurts needs to get over that. I mean, you have the best wide receivers in this game. They go to you with Devontae and Brown. If they're locking in and putting 8 or 9 in the box, you better be able to make your throws in coverage. It's a Super Bowl. It's your second time here. And I think he'll be up for that challenge. But I would expect Spags to be very creative, putting an extra person for the run stop initially. But there's the catch-22. That's how Saquon breaks those huge runs. Like you said, you make 3 people miss and you have no safety in the back or one safety and you're gone off to the races.
Yeah, I mean, to put some numbers on Saquon's explosiveness, he has 10 carries of over 20 yards that went for a touchdown this season.
Ooh, prop bet.
That's 10 touchdowns runs of 20 plus yards. That's
What is it?
Twice as many as any. It's more than twice as many as any other running back this season. It's the most since PFF, which is like a stats thing, has been tracking it since 2006. So, I mean, Saquon's having like a legendarily explosive season. Almost 20 years of stats. He's better than. So,
you take out the first 85-yard touchdown run he had, or however many it was, 80 or 70 yards. Take that out. What did he have last week? Minus that, right?
I mean,
Washington actually started stopping him, and after that, in the second half. I mean, this is big. You guys, this is basically an Eagles nest love fest here, and I get it. I mean, I get their offense, I get the separation, I get the stats, but what you guys are discounting here is two things. This is probably one of the best defenses they faced all season. That's number one. Let me give you the second thing. In the second half, they're going to figure this out. You guys that were Washington fans, like Mitch and them watching these games, the old Joe Gibbs team, right? Whenever they went to the second half, he made the best adjustments in the history of football. They always won the second half. The Reed and Spagnuolo is going to go in there, whatever the second half is, they're going to figure it out. They do. And plus, this is the other thing. Not only do they have the week, but then they have the longer halftime, right? They have double the halftime to figure the adjustments out. I mean, these are the intangibles that go into this game, I think, that favor Kansas City and Andy Reid.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take out like the first explosive run that changed the whole dynamic of the game and changed the way that the Commanders then started to scheme their defense, which gave Jalen Hurts a lot more opportunity. That's the same logic as being like, well, if the Commanders didn't have 4 turnovers, then they wouldn't have lost. I mean, it's like, yeah, but they did, and yeah, they gave up that huge run. I think if you're the Chiefs, if I'm the Chiefs, I probably sell out on those run blitzes, or even just kind of sell out on the blitzes in general, to make Hurts a little bit more uncomfortable, possibly force a fumble, maybe force an interception, get ahead in the turnover game. And I think you live with the 80-yard touchdown run. Like, as long as you don't have 3 of those, which, then we're talking about Saquon Barkley being, like the greatest, running back in a Super Bowl. But, I mean, you live with one of those. Like, you're the Chiefs, you're going to score 25 points. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
right.
You're not gonna get behind too much in this game. And so I think you can live with like one explosive 70-yard run in ways that Washington couldn't, because we know Washington defensive, like we know their run defense sucks. So like the minute that happens, everyone on the Washington sideline is like, oh no, like time to change everything we have in this approach. We have got to stop the run. Right. Otherwise, like we're going to get blown out. And, then they turn the ball over a bunch. And so I just, I mean, he still had 50 or 60 yards on the ground, which is a pretty productive day for a running back. And, he's going to eat. I don't know if he's going to get 120, but all it takes is one big run for him. And if you're the Eagles, you want that. And if you're the Chiefs, you can live with it. And, and you find other ways to win, because what you can't do is you can't run the ball 10 times with a minute and a half left when you need a field goal, if you're the Eagles to win the game. So I think that, to me, that's like the game's going to be close if you're the Chiefs, and you can't utilize Saquon in the last minute in a 2-minute drill.
That's a good point.
But you can utilize AJ Brown. So then you have that. And some of this is, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I mean, you do raise a fair point, John, about the, if you remove the 60 yards, he still averaged just over 4.1 like yards per carry. So it's like, it is somewhat of a pedestrian day for him, but it's also the lowest rushing total as far as attempts that he's had since early November. And so I think what you see a lot with Saquon, and the reason he went for, 205 or whatever it was against the Rams, is like he got the ball 26 times. And with Derrick Henry, you saw it a bunch of years in Tennessee. Like, if you really feed the running back and let him go, like that's when he starts to break those big gains. But yeah, I mean, you could make the argument somewhat big play dependent, but I don't know. I think this year I've seen more of like, doing the dirty work as well.
Okay. So we've talked a little bit about Philly's, what their offense may look like, sort of maybe where they have an edge, maybe where they have some sort of concerns. Let's pivot and talk about the other offense that will be on the field, led by none other than Patrick Mahomes. It's an offense that was, I think, kind of much maligned earlier in the season. It looked, not very exciting. Patrick Mahomes basically had the lowest sort of average depth of target down the field that he'd had really in his career. His passer rating per NFL Next Gen stats was like fairly pedestrian. He was kind of behind Russell Wilson. He was somewhere around 15th. He was just sort of a mid-level quarterback as far as passer rating goes. And all of those stats mean nothing because Patrick Mahomes is still the greatest quarterback on planet Earth. And he still does things like will his team to victory when it's the most important thing. The offense has looked better with Hollywood Brown coming back as the sort of offense has gelled. Travis Kelce looked like a new man for most of the postseason up until last week, where he had a fairly pedestrian 2 catches for 17 yards, I think. I mean, do we expect the Chiefs offense to come out and just like be exciting, or do we expect another just like good enough effort?
Good enough effort, and that's all you need. And to Peter's point earlier, I mean, the regular season, they're kind of just it's like scrimmages to them. I mean, they never really get serious until they get to the playoffs. But you just know they're going to score. You know they're going to move the ball. You know they've got a decent running game. He sprays the ball all over the field. He's going to run when he has to run. Then he's going to make believe he hurt his knee, so you're not. You're changing your scheme because you think he's hurt. That he fakes that. He's done that forever. That's like a comedy show. But this team is like, good luck betting against them. I mean, they just win games. It's there, and if they get the ball back, if they get the ball with a minute and a half to go, and this game is tighter, they're down by 2. He's going to go down there and kick the field goal, and win the game when the time runs out. They've been doing it for 20 games. It's all they do. And so this is a very difficult team to bet against because somehow, some way they win. And the reason why people say, their offense, they're not that exciting. I'm going to say it for the 5th time. Their defense is underrated. They have a better defense than anybody has any idea. They stop teams when they need to stop them. They've done it the entire season. They rise to the occasion. Chris Jones, he's going to have the big sack at the big moment, at the big time. And this is all the things that Kansas City's got going for them. So I'm going to bet them because I'm betting their defense. And I'm betting Mahomes at the end of the game to do it like the Koine phrase from Nate a couple weeks ago where he was exactly nailed it. He said, the Rams are going to do Ram stuff. And I'm like, what does that mean? And then he went out, won the game. And I'm like, oh, now I get it. Mahomes is going to do Mahomes stuff, and somehow they're going to win this game. So I don't know. Defense wins Super Bowls.
It's an interesting matchup. Not to go back on because we're talking Chiefs offense, but Vic Fangio has an interesting dilemma, perhaps. I mean, his style, and I don't want to. Peter was better at this stuff than me, but his style is 2 safeties deep, kind of giving you 3 or 4 plays here or there, and forcing you to make a mistake. Well, that's exactly the offense that the Chiefs want to run. They're not explosive plays. They get 3 or 4 yards of go down the field methodically. And so I wonder if Fangio switches it up with some more man, because when Fangio gets in 3rd down, he gets a little creative, but 1st and 2nd down, it's just a shell, too deep, and just get a couple yards here or there, and you're going to make a mistake. So this could be just exactly what the Chiefs are looking for. Now, if you see them switch to man coverage, then you may see, Kelce and some explosive plays, Xavier Worthy. They always like to get the rookies, rolling in, later in the season, make them stars. But if they stay, if it's just par, if Vic Fangio runs the exact same defense he's run all season long, it's just going to be just Chiefs going down the field slowly and scoring, all game long.
Yeah, the Chiefs run almost like a defense-proof offense. And what I mean by that is all right, Mahomes had averaged 6.8 yards per air pass attempt in the conference championship. All right, so if you put that in, context of the season, that would be 31st in the league. So very short passes. Yeah. And the thing about that is they don't really they get guys like Xavier Worthy. Can he run routes? Maybe. Can he separate downfield? Maybe not. But is he fast? Yes. So we're going to run him across the entire formation, 3 yards, deep. And it's like, there's really no defense for that. And Mahomes just waits, makes the right read, and then throws short or extends the play. But it's like, it's almost personnel proof in that it's quick and efficient and extremely QB dependent, but it doesn't really matter who you put in there as long as, they can catch the football, and Mahomes is just going to put them in position to do that.
I think a couple things that I sort of think about with this Chiefs offense. The first is Worthy, as Peter mentioned. Like they use him in the best way. Like he's not that good, but he's fast, and he gets this. He gets these little outs, and he gets in the middle of the field, and he snags a perfect pass from Mahomes. They go 4 yards, and then they do it again, and he gets a ton of targets, and he catches the ball. He doesn't really drop a lot of passes. At least he hasn't in the playoffs that I can remember. So there's some of that. I think you got to get the ball to Worthy. I don't think Kelsey can disappear. He kind of disappeared in the Bills game. He was really active in the divisional round against Houston. I don't think with this defense. I mean, because the Eagles have the second best defense in the league, maybe after the Broncos. I mean, they're right up there at the best defense in the league. So you just can't take a nap. Like Kelsey has to be productive in this game. He has to get a lot of targets. Sometimes he doesn't get a lot of targets. Like they use him almost like a decoy. They pull a lot of the defense puts a lot of pressure on attention on Kelsey, and then other people are open, or Pacheco gets the ball or whatever a lot. And Pacheco can get going too, but it's been sort of hit or miss. But they do it. They have a pedestrian offense. They're comfortable with that. They're okay with that. That's their identity right now. Butker's been pretty good as a kicker in the playoffs for them. I think that they're okay kicking a ton of field goals, scoring a touchdown here or there. But once they get within 30 yards, like on the Eagles 30, like all of a sudden it's just Mahomes time, and then 3 plays later he's like at the 2, and it's just hard to quantify some of the intangibles here with the Chiefs offense, because on paper the Eagles should absolutely eat up this offense.
Exactly.
The Chiefs should score 10 points, but they have the best quarterback since Tom Brady, and they're playing in the Super Bowl, and they're not going to just score 8 points or 10 points or whatever. They're going to score efficiently. And so it's interesting, but I think Worthy is something that the Chiefs have to, or that the Eagles have to sort of worry about. And I think Kelsey definitely has to come alive in this game and get some more targets, but otherwise you have to put pressure on Mahomes. Mahomes can kind of get frustrated and fall apart if he feels like he's being pressured back there, especially if you can contain him and make him throw a pick or something. And that's the other thing. I mean, they have to force turnovers. Like they have to. I mean, they're not going to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl if they don't force a turnover.
The thing about Worthy that I kind of think about sometimes too, since we were sort of talking about, he's sort of the X factor for the Chiefs. And we've been talking about how he's maybe not that great of a football player on film. And I think about how sometimes the Chiefs just maybe are figuring it out faster than our traditional wisdom can. And I was thinking about when they drafted Tyreek Hill, who was a guy that we weren't really sure if he could run routes. And we just knew he was really damn fast. And he didn't catch a ton of passes in college. Oklahoma State is really his only season in Division I football. He had 3 times as many carries as he did receptions, Tyreek Hill did. And, they drafted him because they were just like, oh, damn, this guy runs a 4.29 and he runs a really fast 100 as well. We could probably figure it out. And you get the sense that they're just doing, they're teaching Worthy to be Tyreek Hill, the next Tyreek Hill. So, it's so tough to there are probably 29 teams in the NFL that couldn't develop a talent like that. That's just pure speed, but the Chiefs seem to be one of those teams that can.
They're just on another level. Even Mahomes' bootleg touchdown, they said they've been setting that up for weeks and weeks, and they were Orlovsky was showing the plays that were setting this up for them to unleash it at some point. They decided to do it against the Bills.
I mean, that's what makes them just so. It makes them fun to watch. It makes them fun to bet on because they always seem to win these games. That's why you bet the money line when you bet them. But it should be a fun game. I mean, there's a lot of Super Bowls that it's this one is going to be, it's just going to be a lot of fun. So Should have a big record for it. Hey, I want to give a few tickets away if you're anywhere in the West Virginia area and you want to see the Mountaineers basketball team, which is really good this season. They got a big Big 12 game coming up 1 week from today against Utah at home Saturday night. Like I went to the Houston game with Joe the other day. I think it was Tuesday or something.
Yeah.
And that is an experience. You have got to go to these games in the Coliseum. I mean, the fans are just going crazy. They were down by 20 at the half. They cut it to 5. They had a 3 go in and out. That would have cut it to 2. If that goes in, it was in and came out, right? You've seen that. That goes in. Mountaineers win that game. They're so exciting. The Utah game on Saturday, 1 week today, is sold out, but I got 2 tickets. Great seats, got your name on it. All you have to do is call, speak to Al, and get on the air for a minute. You can tell us who you're picking this Super Bowl. 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. You want to give us a call, I will get you right on. And I've got 2 tickets right here to the Utah game at the Coliseum. Go Mountaineers. Let's roll. We'll get these right out to you if you want to roll with that. 888-480-5646. Give us a call.
I know we need a couple wins. Get back into that mix.
They're coming.
Wins. We also need to do a little My Pillow, John.
Well, listen, this is the other reason why Kansas City is going to win this game. They're all sleeping on My Pillow. Andy Reid is a My Pillow genius, and you too can get a great night's sleep. They got so many things there, folks, and he's got the mega sale of all sales right now. He's calling it the mega sale, the My Pillow mega sale. He does this every January to clear inventory out. He runs a cash business, Mike Lindell does. This benefits us, right? He has no credit, so he's got inventory. He's got to get it out. Get the new inventory in. Who gets the savings? We do. MyPillow.com/Godzilla. Promo code Godzilla. MyPillow is $14.98. Got the Giza sheets. Got the down comforters. They're on sale. Guess what? Free shipping. Over $75? No. I don't care what you buy. Slippers, sheets, pillows, pillowcases, towels. By the way, you got to get the towels. Whatever it is, free shipping through the end of the month. That's going to save you a ton. This is the greatest products at the greatest prices and free shipping. Plus, he's been a supporter of Godzilla Wins forever. So we want to thank My Pillow for that. Thank Dawn Curtis, who has been helping us forever. And they're tuned in right now. They never miss Godzilla. The whole My Pillow team in Minnesota, whatever reason, they're hooked on Godzilla Wins. So thank you guys for tuning us in. Just go to MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com. Get the great savings now. Save $75 in shipping, no matter what you get. Promo code Godzilla. Get the greatest savings ever. If you don't have the Giza sheets, get those. If you don't have the down comforter, you're depriving yourself of one of the greatest comforts in life. Check those out. Plus the towels, all there, all on sale, all right now. MyPillow.com. Promo code Godzilla.
Okay. One more Chiefs thing, just to put a cap on the Chiefs offense it was a stat that stood out to me. And this is probably like a Peter question more than anything else, because I don't know like how to make sense of it. But it's Patrick Mahomes' scramble rate has like exploded this postseason. He's scrambling. His career high was for postseason scramble percentage was 11.2 in 2019. He's been somewhere around 8%, high 7, mid 8% for almost every other postseason. And then this season, he's scrambling almost 15% of the time. The offensive line has obviously been shaky. That's probably some of it. Some of it is probably receivers not getting open. So he needs to sort of extend plays. But is that like a consequential number? Like, does that make this offense more dangerous, or does it is it like more a reflection of this offense is just kind of like a mess and Mahomes is just having to do more than he normally would here?
No, it's by design. In that Mahomes has figured out a way, like edge rushers, as talented as they are, like he's so good at manipulating the pocket. And what we're talking about with like short passes, right? Efficiency is the name of the game. Efficiency. Mahomes wants open passes, right? Because like his receivers aren't good. So Mahomes has the lowest tight window percentage of any quarterback in the league. Like he's finding open passes. And one of the ways to do that is to make defenses cover for like 6 seconds. And he's athletic enough to do that and extend plays to where like, Worthy can, run full speed 50 yards across the field. The interesting thing about that, as it relates to this game, is like if there is a defensive line that's athletic enough to flush him from the middle, right? That's Jalen Carter, who, by the way, has some of the most laughable film you've ever seen in your life. There was one play from that championship game. He jumped over Brian Robinson. He's 320 pounds, I think,
Yeah.
and he jumped over him. But they have Nolan Smith, who ran like a 4.4 at edge. Jalix Hunt is a super athletic up-and-coming player. Josh Sweat is really athletic. So think of like the Buccaneers game in 2020, that Super Bowl, the only time that we've seen Mahomes lose a Super Bowl. What were they able to do? Vita Vea pushed the pocket. You had Shaq Barrett. You had these athletic edge rushers. So this might be one where if they are able to make Mahomes, release the ball quickly and kind of force receivers to win early, then maybe that could favor Philadelphia. But yeah, to your point, Nate, like that is kind of just Mahomes figuring out like how to break football.
Right. He's just how to do it well. We got Ted H., winner of some West Virginia men's basketball tickets from Morgantown, West Virginia. Is that game tonight, John?
No, 1 week from tonight.
1 week from tonight. All right. A week from today. We got Ted H. Is he on the line? Is he on the air? Do you want to give us a little Super Bowl pick?
Yeah, Ted. Oh,
no,
he's
not on the air. Okay. That's live radio, folks. Welcome to Showbiz.
If you're from Morgantown, you're probably
just so you guys know, to get the tickets, you got to go on the air, Al. So just get him in, and obviously, Al, we're going to need his name and address, or there's no way to get a hold of him.
It's tough to figure out who the Morgantown person's going to root for. If you're a student, there's so many students from Philly, Jersey area. You never know. I'm thinking he's a Chiefs fan.
I got two more, but you got to get on the air. 888-480-5646. 888-480-5646. Al will take your call and get you right on the air. We got about 5 minutes, so Al, do that. Al, we're also going to need obviously Ted's name and how to get his address, how to get a hold of him. Otherwise, we can't get him the ticket. So if you could do that for us, that'd be excellent. And I got two more to give away. This is going to be on the 8th, 1 week from tonight. This place it's sold out. The Utah game is sold out. So if you go online to Ticketmaster, you cannot buy a ticket. It's sold out. But I got two more to give away right here. Place is going to be rocking like crazy. 888-480-5646. Nate will get you right on.
Yeah, and welcome to live radio. This is our first ever ticket giveaway,
That's
or
right,
at least
baby.
it seems like our first ticket ever giveaway, because we are handling it well.
We got a prize closet and everything. I love this.
It's
not a podcast, radio.
Yeah.
Baby.
Like Ted H, hopefully he calls back, but I just love the vibes of like calling up Al and being like, all right, hey, Ted H, here for the tickets. And then Al being like, okay. And then him just being like, all right, see ya.
Click. All right, catch you later, man.
He's like, no, first time in a long time.
I got to bounce.
Which is probably exactly what happened to Al. So shout out to Al for trying to get him back on the air here for a minute. But
all five of us awkwardly trying to talk to a caller was going to be a good bit.
That was going to be great too. But
he's on
the line.
We'll let Nate handle it.
Ted H. is on the line, ready to give us a pick for some tickets to West Virginia Mountaineers basketball. Ted H., give us a pick for the Super Bowl.
It's our first one.
Ted H. is not on the line.
Ted, are you there? All right. Al's got to figure out how to get you in, merge you in. We'll do that next week if you're not there, Ted. But tell Al your pick so he can put it in the screen. We'll tell everybody who it is. Only on Godzilla Wins can you call up and not get on the air.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
we're equal opportunity.
Please call in. The phone lines are open. Actually, the phone lines are never open.
You're on, Ted. Yeah. Can you hear us, Ted?
Ted.
No, there's no Ted. Al, just get with Mike after the show and.
Dad, I like how you're pretending like this stuff doesn't happen on Monday through Friday.
No,
like,
it does not. No, it does not.
Actually,
it does not. No. But Al's not accustomed to taking calls and merging them in live like Tyler is. So we'll get that fixed.
I've heard your show. It's live radio.
It's live radio. Calls drop all the time. I mean, it's live radio. I mean, that's just part of the shtick. So it's all good.
we have 2 minutes left after our ticket giveaway extravaganza. 2 minutes is just about enough time for us to actually pick a winner of the Super Bowl. We're a week out. We'll be redoing these picks. We can always go back and revise after
What's
a
the
week.
spread? What is the spread? I'm just kidding.
I think we're at Chiefs -1.5 or -2 at the moment. What's our just straight up pick for the Super Bowl? John, who do you like? Chiefs. Chiefs Magic. Jack?
Oh, Eagles. I mean, Peter's been talking about this for 3 weeks. They're the best team in the NFL.
The Eagles? Peter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing where the Eagles, to me, blow them out of the water in terms of everything that makes sense. The personnel, but then it's like the Chiefs. Am I really going to go against the Chiefs? But I think I kind of planted that Eagles flag a little while back, so I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to go Eagles.
Mitch, give us your pick.
I mean, it's so impressive what the Eagles did on defense to rebound to get this team to where it is, but Kansas City. I can't go against them. I'm just losing money everywhere when I go bet against Kansas City. So going with Kansas City.
All right, so I'm the tiebreaker. And I think that to break this tie, I think I like Kansas City as well. I mean, the Mahomes magic, they just feel inevitable. The experience, all the intangible stuff, the quarterback. I mean, it just seems there, and the offense seems to be getting better. All right, so that is our show for this week. Up next, you got golf with Jay Delsing.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks, guys. I enjoyed it.